Is there a God? Today, my main goal will be to subjectively look at science, what we can see, and come to a conclusion. What is the meaning to life? This is something that I've been talking to a lot of people over Snapchat and Facebook Messenger, just to get people's responses. I'd get people saying everything from, dude, are you okay? To, I think the meaning of life is to live, love, laugh. And I would say, honestly, most people have no clue. So the first question I ask is there a God? And the reason why I ask this is because there's two schools of thought. The two schools are there either is or isn't. I've yet to find a third one, so normally I just ask them this simple question, and we'll start to go through a little bit of is there or isn't there. Okay, so our first piece of science is a leaf. They're everywhere. They're on trees, grass sort of does the same function here. What exactly is a leaf, and how does it work? So if you do a quick Google search for what are the best colors for photosynthesis, you get that red and blue are the best colors for this. But then why is a leaf green? It's because green is right in the middle. If you look at this graph, you'll see the blue is all the way on one side and red is completely on the other. Green absorbs both those colors the best and reflects, well, green, taking optimal advantage of the sunlight. And it does all of this using something called chlorophyll. So if you want to look a little bit deeper into what chlorophyll is and made up of, we can look at this picture right here. You can clearly see that there is a single atom of magnesium in the middle with nitrogen on the second layer and so forth and so on. And this is very interesting because the pattern it's in makes it absorb this light and make oxygen and make all this different types of energy. My conclusion of this is it's complicated. If you look at the basics of plants and just zoom in and keep zooming in, you'll find complicated system after complicated system. We barely scratch the surface. You have to go into DNA replication. You have to go into the reproduction of leaves and all of the tree itself. You have to go into energy storage. There are tons of different things. Okay, so we've covered leaves. Let's move on to the next one, and that was my dog. He actually tried to eat part of this leaf, so bear with me. So what about dogs? Our main focus today will be primarily on the digestive system. Like humans, their digestive system, food goes in the mouth, comes out the rear, and they use teeth to oftentimes break up their food. Now, unlike humans, their jaw only goes up and down in a chewing motion. Ours tends to be able to grind sideways, and they only have really pointy teeth. They don't have the molars like we do. They also create, as everybody knows, an excessive amount of slobber. And this is really important because without this, their stomach wouldn't be able to digest the food as fast. And from my research, what I found is the stomach of a dog goes through food actually slower, 12 hours. But once it hits the intestines, they have a shorter intestine tract. So 6 hours for the intestine tract is a normal amount of time. They can also, like humans, go several days without eating a single meal. This is quite crucial for, again, another machine. It's able to take in energy at once and then be able to burn it slowly. This, again, is a complicated machine. Now, who knows how it got here? We're not there yet, but it's a complicated machine. That's my main point. And again, we just covered the digestive tract of a dog. We haven't even mentioned that it has a brain, and it has to do all these different computing processes that are way more crazy than our supercomputers today. Or the fact that it has eyes that are like two cameras that can focus together and tell the dog how far away an object is. Or the fact that these dogs can run insanely fast. My dog can even run up to about 40 miles an hour, and that was only because the car was going 40 miles an hour and he was interested in keeping up with us. Who knows how fast he can actually go. So let's do something a little bit more simple. So what about, let's say, a rock? This rock right here is super simple. It doesn't have a whole bunch of moving parts or energy usage, really. It's a rock. But let's take a deeper look. So what is a rock made of? Well, if I can quote Google real quick, the first response would say, to geologists, a rock is a natural substance composed of solid crystals or different minerals that have been fused together into a solid lump. Okay, well, I guess that makes sense, but what exactly are minerals? Again, if I could quote Google, it would say that minerals are made up of chemical elements. A chemical element is substance that is made of only one kind of atom. So now we're down to atoms, but exactly what is an atom? Well, if you do a little bit of reading, you would find out that atoms make up everything. Those plants use atoms. That dog I was showing you uses atoms. Our human bodies use a ton of atoms. Now, a simple drawing of an atom would look like this. You have your neutrons and protons in the middle and your electrons on the outside. So now I have a whole bunch of questions. Like, why don't the electrons ever run into each other? I mean, that would be catastrophic for the world if electrons just started flying into each other. How come? Well, that's when scientists start to say there is no reason for electrons not to collide into each other. They just don't. Because atoms are just mostly space, right? Well, why don't our fingers just go through each other? Why do they stop and they meet a force? I mean, it seems like I should be able to move right through my hand. Again, we don't know. It's just a weird, mysterious force. Now, granted, we can leave most of these to, well, science, is the study of these things. We're working on it, will be revealed new things. But you start to realize that it is very detailed. Within every atom, you have moving parts. You have these electrons spinning around these protons and neutrons, and if the atom were to ever fall apart, then you're gone. If the protons and neutrons would fall apart, which there's no reason for them to really want to hang together, then would all just fall apart. So it's time for the conclusion. Now, we can see from the dog, which is arguably the most complex, to the rock, which is the least complex, that all of these have some form of complexity to them. And we know that due to the laws of thermodynamics, things don't head towards order. They head towards chaos. So, evolution, the classic belief for those who do not believe in a god, couldn't happen because things don't head towards order. They head towards chaos, right? Well, here we have order. We have a well-oiled machine like a dog. We have plants that can use energy from the sun, and rocks that have electrons in them that somehow never collide. Not to mention everything else with these electrons. So science would say there is some form of creator, or God, and he is very present in creation. Okay, so we've tackled the question, is there a God? And if you just look around you for 2 seconds, this rock, this leaf over here, you'll find that this is enough proof in my hands right now to prove that there is a creator, that somebody designed this.